Hmm.
Interesting. I just a sign after we stopped, it said the big sign says upgrade. Okay. So I thought, okay, let me see how much it costs. I clicked upgrade and then it disappeared. It didn't take me anywhere. Okay. So upgrade I would imagine comes with a price, but there was no price. Okay. So that's what I was interested in seeing. For my general
And there
knowledge.
doesn't seem to be a timer there at the moment, doesn't it? Unless it only comes up at the last 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But I remember that might have to do with the fact that we use facilities like sharing screen. Yeah. And because I had to, before I could share the screen, I had to press 2 ticks. I didn't even read them. I just pressed them. Okay. So maybe that had something to do with it as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because we don't normally have that issue, do we?
We've never had it. No, we've never had it. I've certainly had it with more than 2 people. But
oh, well, I think we'll just have to blame you. That's fine.
Yeah.
So what were we saying? Don't know.
Yeah, you were telling me about Russia and the truth and
oh yeah, this guy his proposition was that a lot of the conflict, which is in his view been initiated by Russia, and I suppose that's a debatable item anyway, but
yeah,
is he puts down to the fact that there'd never been any sort of internal process within the country following the breakdown of the Soviet Union. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you might have something there, because it was made up of a whole lot of different countries, and they seem to be quite, patriotic towards their own nationality. But as was.
But you'd said yourself though, hadn't you? Like when you were doing a lot of that English group, and that you even sort of sensed that there was a bit of tension there between, the Ukrainians and Russians, and I don't know if there were other groups in there as well, but
yeah.
I remember you saying a couple of times that you felt there was a bit of tension there.
Yeah, between the lines, and with the interactions and so on. But yeah, and then the West, how the West interferes. Okay, as we said on Sunday, Russia has now threatened nuclear war if they don't stop supplying Ukraine with weapons. Okay.
Yep. It's not a very rosy picture, is it? So.
No, it's not. And of course, the average person says, "Oh, they'll never do that. They'll never do that." But
hold my beer. That's right.
Yeah. In 1,000 years, they look back and say, "Wonder why Europe suddenly disappeared." Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
What could that have been?
Coronavirus. It could have been a disease.
It's a horrible thought as to the prospect of nuclear weapons being used, isn't it? I can't really even comprehend to this day what it must have been like in Japan, when they were dropping those atomic bombs.
Yeah. It's amazing what people go to in times of war.
Oh, incredible.
And
I wonder what sort of debate there was even within the US before they dropped those bombs.
Yeah. And I was saying in my Mayan class that times haven't changed. We're still the same as we ever were. Okay.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
In one sense, we're perhaps a whole lot more dangerous.
Absolutely.
Because the world is a whole lot smaller, so that if someone decides to do something, rightly or wrongly, then the implications of it are far more catastrophic, than,
yeah.
like the equivalent in those days might have been, burning some books as being outrageous,
Yeah.
complete loss of knowledge and all sorts of stuff, pales into, in comparison to, what's possible with the technology they have at their disposal now.
Yeah, and the creation of viruses and things like that. Do you know? You know that I don't know if you saw in your reading that Bill Gates, he was doing a TED talk about viruses, and then he in the TED talk he released a whole lot of mosquitoes. Okay, yeah,
In the middle of the talk.
in the talk, it's part of the talk. There. Okay, and of course you know that they've been experimenting with mosquitoes. Okay, and when he talks about it, it sounds like all good. Okay, but knowing Bill Gates and the black hats, it's not all good. Okay.
Well, I saw he was out the other day making another prediction about coronavirus. The worst is yet to come. So
Yeah, I don't know what he said particularly about that, but I listened to a video or a podcast saying that the next virus has got nothing to do with coronavirus. Okay, it's got to do with bird flu. Okay, and it's going to be 100 times worse. Okay, and what happened yesterday? I read the news in one particular small location. Somebody has caught a bird. He looks after fowls on a farm. Okay, and he caught the virus, and he was rushed to hospital and so on. I think he has recovered, but it's just so strange that you hear about it before, and then all of a sudden the first one happens. Okay, there's going to be one. Where does it go from there? And the prediction is a lot worse. You don't have to be involved with poultry, or even only eating poultry. You just
no. Once it's out there, it's out there, isn't it?
It's out there. Yeah.
I think that the significance of the first one is that it's the jump from one species to another.
Yeah.
Well, once the jump's happened, then it's
Now it's happened. It was I think it was in Colorado or California. I'm not sure. So maybe we've got to wait a year or so before because people will keep it quiet and try and make excuses for it. But let's wait and see what.
Interesting thing about the virus too is when I've heard medical experts talking about it, they say that the virus itself isn't equivalent to a life form until it gets into a cell. So there's the components of the virus, but as soon as it gets into a living cell, then it's alive.
Okay. That's an interesting observation for somebody. Yeah. Interesting. I guess our body we have masses of viruses living in our bodies, all of us.
Well, all sorts of flora and fauna.
Yeah. Bacteria. So, yeah.
Very interesting indeed. So is the proposition that the idea of highly infectious disease is just going to be a way of life now, is it?
Yeah, as as long as the elitists are in power, and they are consumerists, then the answer is yes. Okay, that's the prediction. And the climate change that is happening is not because of them. You know, that's a whole different issue, the climate change, to what we're talking about. So somehow the satanic influence that a group of these elitists have, and the power they have because of their being as rich as they are, as well as being satanically influenced, that's got to be broken. Okay, that's got to be broken. And it can only happen bit by bit. All right. I mean, already I mentioned this before in one of our talks, that the world economy is being propped up at the moment. Okay. And even as we speak, the dollar is declining. But that, in everybody's books, it's just part of the cycles that are going on, and always have been going on.
A lot of those systems, are in collapse.
Yeah, they are in collapse. They've been propped up.
One thing I was going to ask you too, and not necessarily for tonight, but maybe we can talk about in a bit more detail on the weekend, is the name Lucifer actually means light.
Okay. Does it mean light? Are you asking me a question, or are you making a statement?
Well, that's what I believe it to mean.
Right.
The name Lucifer actually means light.
Yeah. Okay, that'll be interesting to talk about.
And if that's the case, what does that mean?
Yeah, but also, who is Lucifer? Okay. Also perhaps a relevant question.
Because I mean, within the biblical story, he was one of the high angels, wasn't
he? Yeah, he was a fallen angel. Yeah. He was, like, I think, second in line, or second in the hierarchy. Yeah.
So the name Lucifer might be more of a legacy of the angelic position rather than the post-angelic position.
No, I don't think there was ever a post-angelic situation. I mean, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah. No, and I'm saying that he was on a God-given mission. Okay, and they talk about the fallen angel and so on and so forth, but he had to do what he had to do for the sake of further opportunity for souls to be able to evolve. Okay, because they just weren't evolving. Okay, and so it'll be an interesting discussion.
I look forward to it.
Okay, you bring it up when you're ready.
Me? No, this is your research homework.
Oh, I've got client number 2 now. Okay, with pleasure. With pleasure. Yeah. Yeah. That would be an interesting discussion. You really stirred my imagination.
And one of the reasons, it's not a reason that I raise it, but I think I might have mentioned to you previously, there's this group up on the Sunshine Coast here in Queensland called the Noosa Temple of Satan.
Okay.
And basically it was established by a group of people who want to challenge a lot of the underlying assumptions around religions and the privileged position that those religions take for granted within the community. So, for example, they say well, we'll give you an actual real life example of what they did. So there was on the Gold Coast City Council, they employed a consultant to supposedly exercise bad energy out of one of their buildings. And in that building, there was also a prayer room. And so the Noosa Temple of Satan says, oh, well, we'd like to make a booking for the prayer room if we can, thanks, because we'd like to, we have some rituals that we'd like to practice, but we want to meet in the prayer room, and so they were denied access.
Okay.
And then the council sort of tied itself in a knot because they didn't want to, because there's some legal implications about discriminating on the basis of religious belief.
Yeah.
So that when they excluded the Noosa Temple of Satan, automatically they had to exclude every faith. So they've got this prayer room in this building that no one's allowed to access.
Okay.
So, and it sort of shines a light on that sort of,
hypocrisy.
And it's sort of very much in the line. And they've even got cases on foot in the Supreme Court and stuff like that about religious education in schools. And, why is it only that this church and that church and this church has access and no one else has access? Why is that, And who says that this is right and that's wrong? Who's the determinant of that? And on what basis is it? So it's actually quite fascinating. And they've got a Facebook page, and there's all sorts of strong extremist views. People come on and say, you people are going to burn in hell, and you're going to this and you're going to that, and there's all sorts of language that these so-called Christians are saying, and all they do is they just make fun of them, say, oh, well, aren't you a delightful Jesus-led example of Christianity? Casting all these curses upon us, and it's an interesting thing, so it really is.
Okay. I'm glad it's on your side of the world.
I think I've been studying a bit of Zen lately.
Yeah.
And one of the tenets of Zazen, as they call it, which is the practice around Zen, is that they even have these sayings like, if you see the Buddha, run for your life. Because it's basically saying that that in terms of being fully awake and enlightened, is that it's to a position where there is no mind, there is no body, so there's nothing. It's that nothingness. So if you hear God talking to you, or if you see the Buddha or whatever, run for your life.
Okay.
Interesting. Well, on that note, I'll leave you to ponder those important questions.
Luciferic topics.
And I look forward to your dissertation on the weekend. So.
And yours.
I posed the questions.
Okay, I'll remember that. Okay, I'll fall for it this time, but I'll make sure I pose the questions next time.
No, you're the ideas guy. I just ask the questions.
Okay, done. Yeah.
Okay.
Great chatting.
Okay. Talk to you on the weekend.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.